राजू की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद रसत रसत श्रीमद् भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्री गुरुदेव की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद रसत रसत श्रीमद् भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद रसत रसत श्रीमद् भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद रसत रसत श्रीमद् भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद रसत रसत श्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट महाभागवत श्री गोक्षर बाबाजी महाराज की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट श्री सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबाजी महाराज की जय। श्री रूपानुगौर्य गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ शार गोसाई प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जय। नाम चय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदाते गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्-भागवतम की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। हरि बोल। इंदिरा माता जी दंडवत प्रणाम। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त नारायणेति नामिने। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनेति नामिने। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। गुरवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुस्तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृदन्तस्तो यभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सतं। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भगवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। तवैवास्मि तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय राधे त्वां नायमां चरणान्तिकं। भक्त्या विहीना अपराधलक्ष्याय क्षिप्ताष्टकामादितरङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वां शरणं प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दं। भज श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribo, Raseshwari Mataji and Satya Mataji, Dandavat Pranams to you both. Haribo, and Indira Mataji, of course, I think already. Alright, so today I'm going to finish up this chapter 4, and then we'll read the first verse of chapter 5. It has such a long commentary, so by the end we get to I think it'll be 8:30 by the time we finish the commentary on verse 1 of chapter 5. Haribo, Ganga Mataji. So let's just read all the translations up to where we are now. Shukadeva Goswami said, O king, I have already described to you the measurements of time, beginning from the smallest unit up to the total lifespan of Lord Brahma. I have also discussed the measurement of the yugas. Now hear about maintenance and annihilation. 1,000 cycles of 4 ages constitutes a single day of Brahma, known as a kalpa. In that period, O king, there are 14 manus. After 1 day of Brahma, annihilation occurs during his night, which is of the same duration. All that time, all the 3 planetary systems are subject to destruction. This is called the naimittic, or occasional annihilation, during which the original creator, Lord Narayan, lies down upon the bed of Anantashesh and absorbs the universe within himself, while Lord Brahma also enters. So there are 4 types of annihilation. The first is naimittic. Taking Brahma's sleep as the cause, as the nimitta, the Lord destroys the 3 worlds. Thus, this destruction is called naimittic. This is a daily destruction. Okay, so that's the first one. When the 2 halves of the lifetime of Lord Brahma, the most elevated created being, are complete, the 7 basic elements of creation are annihilated. O king, that is called the prakritika destruction, the prakritika annihilation, in which the universe made of all the elements merges in prakriti when it is time for that destruction. So this is at the end of Brahma's life, the prakritika annihilation, when all the we'll hear about that, right? O king, there will be no rain upon the earth for 100 years. Drought will lead to famine, and the starving populace will consume one another. Oh my God. Everybody will become cannibals. The inhabitants of the earth, bewildered by the force of time, will gradually be destroyed. Oh, the inhabitants of the earth, though, that means all creatures will start to eat each other, yeah. Because there won't be, I guess, vegetables and things like that. The sun in its annihilating form will drink up with its terrible rays all the water of the ocean, of living bodies, and of the earth itself. But the devastating sun will not give back anything. Next, the great fire of annihilation, rising from the mouth of Lord Sankarshan and increased by the force of the winds, will burn the universe, scorching the lifeless planets. Burned from all sides, from above by the blazing sun and from below by the fire of Lord Sankarshan, the universal sphere will glow like a burning ball of cow dung. A great and terrible wind begin to blow for more than 100 years, covered with dust, will turn gray. After that, O king, groups of multicolored clouds, roaring terribly with thunder, will pour down rain for 100 years. At that time, the shell of the universe will fill up with water, forming a single cosmic ocean. As the entire universe is flooded, the water will rob the earth of its unique quality fragrance. and the element earth, deprived of its distinguishing quality, will be dissolved. The element fire then swallows up the taste from the element water, which, deprived of its unique quality, taste, merges into fire. Air swallows up the form inherent in fire, and then fire, deprived of form, merges into air. The element ether swallows the quality of air, namely touch, and that air enters into ether. Then, O king, false ego and ignorance swallows up sound, the quality of ether, after which ether also merges into false ego and ignorance. False ego and passion consumes the senses. Ego and goodness absorbs the devatas. Then the total Mahat-tattva consumes false ego along with its various functions. And that Mahat-tattva is consumed by the three basic modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. My dear King Parikshit, these modes are followed up by Prakriti, impelled by time. That Prakriti is not subject to the 6 kinds of transformation caused by the influence of time. Rather, it has no birth, no death, no existence, no increase, no change, and no decrease. It is the cause of the universe. In Pradhan and creation, there is no expression of words, no mind, and no manifestation of the subtle elements beginning from the Mahat-tattva. Nor are there the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. There is no life air or intelligence, nor any senses or devatas. There is no arrangement of planetary systems, nor are there present the different stages of consciousness, sleep, wakefulness, and deep sleep. There is no ether, no water, earth, fire, air, fire, or sun. The situation is just like that of complete sleep, or of voidness. It is indescribable. Authorities in spiritual science explain, however, that since Pradhan is the original substance, it is the basis of material creation. The annihilation is called prakritika, when the energies belonging to the Supreme Person and Prakriti, disassembled by the force of time, merge together totally. Brahman manifests in the forms of intelligence. Brahman manifests in the forms of intelligence, the senses, and the objects of sense perception, and it is their ultimate basis. Whatever has a beginning and an end is insubstantial because of being an object perceived by limited senses and because of being non-different from its own cause. A lamp, the eye that views by the light of that lamp, and the visible form that is viewed, all these are non-different from the element light. In the same way, intelligence, the senses, and sense perceptions have no existence separate from the Supreme Reality, although that absolute truth remains totally distinct from them. The 3 states of intelligence are called waking consciousness, sleep, and deep sleep. But, my dear king, the variegated experiences created for the pure living entity by these 3 different states are nothing more than illusion. As clouds in the sky come into being and are then destroyed, the material universe with its parts is created and destroyed within Brahman. O king, the cause of the universe is said to be factual, since the cause is perceived to have a separate existence from the universe, just as threads of a cloth are separate from the cloth. What is experienced as cause and effect is an illusion, since they are mutually dependent. Everything has a beginning and an end, and is therefore unreal. This universe, and even a single atom within it, have no definition without reference to the Supreme Soul. If that is so, then objects related to the Lord are also spiritual and non-different from the Lord. So this is where we read up to yesterday, I think, right? Yeah. Nahi satyasya nanatvam avidvan yadimanyate nanatvam chidrayor yadvaj jyotishor vatayor iva. There is no material duality in the absolute truth. If a person thinks there is duality, he is ignorant, like one seeing the space in two pots as two different kinds of space, or the fire in two lamps as two different kinds of fire, or the prana in two bodies as two different kinds of prana, when actually there is only one space, one fire, and one prana. Sarartha-darsini. How does one conceive of oneness? There is no duality in the Supreme Truth. If one considers duality in the Absolute, one is ignorant. An ignorant person, on seeing two pots with cavities, thinks the first pot has some space in it, and the other pot has different space in it. Similarly, on seeing two lamps, an ignorant person thinks that in the first lamp is one fire, and in the second lamp a different fire. Or on seeing pran, the life air in one body, and in another body, he will think that they are different kinds of prana. Oh, Haribol, Draupadi Dasi, and Madhavi Didi, and Kishore Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams. Yata hiranyam pahuda samiyate nribhi kriyabhir vyavaharavartmasu evam vachobhir bhagavan adhokshajo vyakhyayate lokika vaidikarjanai. Just as gold is perceived in different forms by various types of manufacturing in the ordinary world, the Supreme Lord, inaccessible to material senses, is described in various words, both ordinary and Vedic, by different types of men. Sarartha-darsini. Though at the time of creation the universe is seen to support various actions, the Jnani should know that there is only one Brahman. By various fabrications, gold appears as earrings or bracelets. By common words and Vedic verses, the Lord is described in many ways. Yata ganorka prabhavorka darshito yarkanksha bhutasya chakshushatama evam tvaham brahma gunastarikshito brahmangshakasyatmana atmabandhana. The cloud is a product of the sun and is revealed by the sun. But the cloud covers the eye, another portion of the sun. The effects of Brahman are revealed by Brahman. Similarly, the ahankar, the effect of Brahman, helps the jiva, a portion of Brahman, to bind himself up. Ahankar, false ego, helps the jiva to bind himself up. Okay. Sarartha-darsini. If everything is Brahman, so there's a question. If everything is Brahman because everything is the effect of Brahman, how can the jivas, portions of Brahman, be covered by ahankar, the effect of Brahman, which is illusory? And being covered, how do they become bewildered? An example is given. The rays of the sun transformed into clouds became rain. The rays of the sun transformed into clouds become rain. It is said, Agno prasta huti samyag adityam upatishtate adityaj jayate vrishter annam tatha prajaha. Oblations to fire go from the sun, they transform into rain. Rain transforms into food, and then into the bodies of living entities. That's from the Manusmriti 376.3. The product of the sun is a cloud. Thus, clouds are manifested by the sun. They cause a covering of the eye, blocking the sun, although the eye is a portion of the sun as well. Similarly, ahankar, an effect of Brahman, binds up the jiva, a portion of Brahman. Atma bandhana means the jiva binds himself. Ghano yadarka prabhavo vidyate Chakshub Swarupam Ravim Ikshate Tada Yada Yankara Upadhir Yada Yahankara Upadhiratmano Jigyasaya Nashyatitaryanusmaret. When the cloud produced from the sun is destroyed, the eye can see the actual form of the sun. Similarly, when the spirit soul destroys his material covering of false ego by inquiring into the transcendental science, he realizes Brahman. Sarartha-darsini. When the ahankar, a covering on the jiva, is destroyed, one realizes Brahman. This is explained through an example. When the cloud is destroyed, the eye sees the sun in its true form. The human eye, and not the eye of the owl, sees the sun. Similarly, the eye of the jnani who has some bhakti sees Brahman, and not the person without bhakti. Bhaktyaham ekaya grahya. I am only achieved by bhakti. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 11.4.21. When ahankar is destroyed, one realizes Brahman. Yadaivamete vivekahetina maya mayanhankaranatma bandhana chetva chutatmanu bhavovatishtate tam ahurantyantikam angasamplavam. O king, when the illusory false ego that binds the soul has been cut off with the sword of discriminating knowledge, and one remains with firm meditation on Achyuta, the Supreme Soul, it is called Atyantika Pralaya. Okay, so we went through three. This is the third type of Pralaya, right? Atyantika Pralaya. Sarartha-darsini. For the destruction of ahankar, one practices bhakti mishra gyan that is described in this verse. After cutting the bondage of ahankar by jnana shastra, viveka hetina, one remains with firm meditation of the mind upon Achyuta. Or, for the accomplished yogi, after destroying ahankar, complete realization of Brahman, Achyutamam ubhava, remains steady. Being fixed in that state is called Atyantika Pralaya, Samplavam. Nityada sarvabhutanam brahmadinam parantapa utpatti pralayaveke shukshma gya samprachakshate. Experts in the subtle workings of nature, O subduer of the enemy, have declared that there are continuous processes of creation and annihilation that all created beings, beginning with Brahma, constantly undergo. Sarartha-darsini. This verse speaks of the Nitya Pralaya, destruction at every moment. Okay. Kalasruta javinashu hriyamanasya nityada parinami namavastas ta janma pralaya hetava. The various states of the bodies of living entities, which are quickly destroyed by the force of the flow of time, are indications of continual birth and death. Sarartha-darsini. The cause is explained. Kriyamanasya should be kriyamananam. The various states of the bodies of living entities, such as balya, poganda, etc., that's childhood, boyhood, youth, etc. So these various states of the bodies of living entities, which are quickly destroyed by the force of the flow of time, are indications of continual birth and death. The bodies and other objects are at every moment born and dying. Because of these various conditions of their bodies, they are compared to flames. So that is nitya pralay. There's destruction at every moment. Anadyantavatānena kaleneshvaramurtina avastha naiva drishyante viyati jyotisham iva. These states of existence created by beginningless and endless time, which is representative of the Supreme Lord, are not visible, just as the infinitesimal changes of position of the planets in the sky cannot be directly seen. Sarartha-darsini. If these states are there at every moment, why are they not seen? The argument in question is without proof. So, in response to this, Srila Viśvanātha Ṭhākura says, the states of birth and death caused by time without beginning, the states of birth and death caused by time without beginning and end are not seen, just as the movements of the planets in the sky are not seen. Just as one must infer the movement of a planet at every moment so that it attains a different visible position, one must infer subtle states of change between the states of infancy and youth that are visible. Thus, the argument is not without proof. Nitya naimittikashchaiva tata prakritiko laya atyantikascha katita kalasya gatiridrishi. In this way, the progress of time is described in terms of the four kinds of annihilation. Continual, that's nitya, right? That's the destruction of bodies. Occasional, that's the naimitiko, that's the night of Brahma. Elemental, that's the prakritika, right? That's the destruction of the universe at the ends of Brahma's life. And final, atyantika, that's liberation. What is it? Okay. I mean, it's interesting how it's in a different order here than how we read it there. How we read it here was naimitic, what is it? Naimitic, prakritik, atyantik, and nitya. But here it's in the opposite order. And it's some commentary. Sarartha-darsini. This is a summary. Ṭhākura sheshta jagar vidhatur narayanasya kila sattva-dhamna lila kathaste katita samasata kartsnena najo pyavidatum ishaha. O best of the Kurus, I have related to you these narrations of the pastimes of Lord Narayan, the creator of this world, and the abode of all living entities in a brief summary. Even Lord Brahma himself is incapable of describing them entirely. Sarartha-darsini. Topics of the Lord are summarized. Samsara. Let me just check the comments really quick. I'm glad you like the black and white because I prefer it too. Hare Krishna Sudevi Didi. Sangsara sindhum atidustaram Sangsara sindhum atidustaram utitirsho Nanyatplavo bhagavata purushottamasya Lila katarasa niveshanamantarena Pungso bhaver vividha dukkadavartitasya. For a person who is suffering in the fire of countless miseries, and even for persons who desire to cross the insurmountable ocean of material existence. There is no suitable boat except cultivating the nectar of the narrations of the Supreme Lord's pastimes. Sarartha-darsini. The topics of the Lord are the life-sustaining medicine for all types of devotees, and even for those desiring liberation. Even those who desire liberation cannot achieve liberation without these topics. That is described in this verse. Or this is the answer to the question you asked at the beginning. What does a dying person do? Other than food, there is nothing that can satisfy intolerable hunger. There is no other means for crossing material existence, such as gyan. That would be like giving a garland and sandalwood to a person suffering from hunger. Oh, you're starving from hunger? Here, take this garland and sandalwood paste. This will be explained later. You should not accept gyan, by which I cover the great secret of bhakti as the recommended process. Ras in this verse means sweetness produced by the topics of the Lord's pastimes. One should not prescribe any other medicine except this nectar. So one should not prescribe any other medicine except this nectar for persons suffering in the great fire of material life. Somebody's suffering in the great fire of material life, don't give them gyan. That would be like giving them garlands. No, they're hungry for bhakti. Purana Sanhitam Etam Rishir Narayana Vyaya Naradaya Pura Praha Krishna Dvaipayanaya Saha. Long ago, this anthology of all the Puranas was spoken by wise Vishnu to Brahma. Brahma, with undiminished bhakti, taught it to Narad. Narad spoke it to Krishna Dvaipayan Vedavyas. Sarartha-darsini. One should study, teach, hear, and have others hear Bhagavatam following a pure, unbroken line of Guru Parampara. That is the intention of this verse. Wise Narayan taught this to Brahma. The missing word Brahma should be supplied. Brahma, without decrease in bhakti because of having no offenses, taught it to Narad. Savai Mahyam Maharaja Bhagavan Padarayanaha Imam Bhagavatim Prita Sanghitam Veda Sammitam. O King, the great Vyasadeva taught me the same scripture Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is equal in stature to the four Vedas. Sarartha-darsini. The phrases Purana Samhitam Etam and Imam Bhagavatam Samhitam are two separate sentences, and thus there is no fault of too much repetition. Imam Vakshyateso Sutta Rishibhyo Naimishalaye Dirgashat Satre Kurushreshta Samprishta Shaunakadibhi. O best of the Kurus, that person Sutta Goswami who is sitting before us will speak this Bhagavatam to the sages assembled in the great sacrifice at Naimisharanya, when questioned by the members of the assembly, headed by Shaunaka. Cool. Sarartha-darsini, pointing out Sutta in the assembly with his finger, Shukadeva Goswami, that Sutta, Aso Sutta. Thus ends the commentary of the 4th chapter of the 12th canto of the Bhagavatam, for the pleasure of the devotees in accordance with the previous acharyas. I'm happy Sutta Goswami, that time he was a little boy, right? When he was in Shukadeva Goswami's audience? Right? Am I right? I don't know. Anyways, he got a shout out. Chapter 5, Realization of Atma. Let me check the comments. Okay, so we're just going to read the first verse. because this commentary is very long. It'll probably take us 25 minutes just to get through this one commentary. Oh my god, and so much Sanskrit. Alright, let's get to it. Shri Shuka Uvacha Atrano Varnyate Bhikshnam Viśvatma Bhagavan Hari Yasya Prasadajo Brahma Rudra Krodha Samudbhava. Shukadev Goswami said, oh wait, this is chapter 5, realization of the Atma. So Shukadev Goswami said, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam describes the Supreme Lord, the soul of the universe, from whose satisfaction Brahma is born, and from whose anger Rudra takes birth. So from the Lord's satisfaction, Brahma is born, and from the Lord's anger, Rudra takes birth. Sarartha-darsini. In the 5th chapter, Shukadev teaches Parikshit about Brahman in order to hide the real meaning of Bhagavatam. Interesting. Having completed the Bhagavatam, so that was the completion of the Bhagavatam, right? I guess that's how the Bhagavatam ends, like Shukadev Goswami speaking? Yeah. Whoa. I didn't know. Okay. Having completed the Bhagavatam, Shukadev considered the matter within himself. It is improper that I have disclosed from my heart the great jewel among secrets and made it visible to all people. The Lord has said that this bhakti is the king of knowledge and the king of secrets. Raja Vidya, that's in Bhagavad Gita 9.2. In this scripture, I've explicitly revealed out of great mercy to a subject which is the most secret, Sarva Guhyatam. That's Bhagavad Gita 1864. I have shown bhakti to award all results, both by negative and positive statements. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udharadi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. The person desiring destruction of all desires, the person with all desires, and even the person with the intense desire for liberation, if he has good intelligence, will worship the Supreme Lord with pure bhakti. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 2.3.10. Mukha bahurupadebhya purushasya saha chatvaro jagyire varna gonar vipradaya pratak ya esham purusham shaksharatma prabhavam ishwaram na bhajantya vajananti stanar bhrashta patantyadha. Each of the 4 social orders, headed by the Brahmanas, was born through different combinations of the modes of nature, from the face, arms, thighs, and feet of the Supreme Lord in his universal form, along with the ashrams. If any of the members of the 4 varnas and 4 ashrams fail to worship the Lord, who is the source of their own creation, they will fall down from their ashram. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 11.5 verses 2-3. Karma, which bestows swarga, is definitely rejected, and famous gyan, which bestows liberation, is rejected. Naishkarmyam achyuta bhava varjitam nashobhate jnanam alam niranjanam kuta puna shashvar abhadramishware nacharpitam karma yadapyakaranam. Even the state of Gyan without the bondage of karma is not glorious, because it is devoid of bhakti to the Supreme Lord. What is the use of having destroyed ignorance? What to speak of sakam karma, what to speak of sakam karma, which is suffering during practice and perfection, and nishkam karma, when not offered to the Lord? Yes, even the stage of dhyan without bondage is not glorious, because it is devoid of bhakti. So what to speak of sakam karma and nishkam karma, when it is not offered to the Lord? Even sannyasis are rejected in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 12.4.30, quoted above. Practicing a tradition of dhyan without bhakti will not produce liberation. Yenyera vindamuktamaninas tvayasta bhavad avishuddha buddhaya aruhya kritrena parampadang tata patantyado nadrita yushmarangraya. O lotus-eyed Lord, although non-devotees who accept severe austerities and penances to achieve the highest position may think themselves liberated, their intelligence is impure. They fall down from their position of imagined superiority because they have no regard for your lotus feet. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 10.2.32. Since one attains liberation by bhakti without performance of dhyan, dhyan is not the exclusive process for attaining yat karmabhir yat tapasa jnana vairagyatascha yogena dana dharmena shreyobhir itarar api sarva mad bhakti yogena mad bhakto labatenjasa swargapavargamad dhama katanche yadi vanchati. Everything that can be achieved by fruit of activities, penance, knowledge, detachment, mystic yoga, charity, religious duties, and all other means of perfecting life is easily achieved by my devotee through loving service unto me. If somehow or other my devotee desires promotion to heaven, liberation, or residence in my abode, he easily achieves such benedictions. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 11.20, verses 32 to 33. One may protest that dhyan is well known for producing liberation. One should understand that bhakti within dhyan, though acting as a minor element, produces liberation. Right? One should understand that bhakti within dhyan, so dhyan mishrat bhakti, though acting as a minor element, produces liberation. Oh wait, that's bhakti mishra dhyan, right? Yeah. Dhyan is a producer of liberation in name only. Even performing dhyan along with bhakti for liberation is not recommended. Bhaktaham ekaya grahya. I am only achieved by bhakti. Na samdijati samskaro na nivaso guravapi na tapo natmani mimangsa na shochim na kriya shubha. These women have never undergone the purificatory rites of the twice-born classes, nor have they lived as brahmacharis in the ashram of a spiritual master, nor have they executed austerities, speculated on the nature of the self, followed the formalities of cleanliness, or engaged in pious rituals. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 10.23.43. Kemva yogena sankhena nyasa swadhyayor api kemva shayobhir anyaischa na yatratma pradohari. What is the use of yoga, sankhya, sannyas, study of the Vedas, other auspicious acts in which the Lord does not give realization of himself? The practice of bhakti is recommended through upakrama, proposal, upasankhya, and abhyas, repetition. Including jnana and yoga here and there in the text is only to teach the devotee about these philosophies and to show the superiority of the bhakti. So the only reason jnana and yoga are explained here and there in the text is only to teach the devotee about these philosophies and to show the superiority of bhakti through comparison, I guess. By performing even a small amount of bhakti, one gains liberation. Yamadheya Shravananukirtanad Yat Pravanad Yat Smaranad Api Kvachit Shvadopi Sadhya Savanaya Kalpate Kuta Punaste Bhagavan Darshanat. By hearing or chanting your name, by offering respects to you, by occasional remembrance of you, even the dog eater immediately becomes qualified for performing the soma sacrifice. O Lord, what then to speak of the person who sees you? That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 12.4.30. Oh, this is a famous verse we learn in Gurukul. Aho bata shva pachato gariyan yajjivagre vartate namatubhyam te pustapaste juhuvusnasurarya parmanachur nama grinanti yete. How astonishing! Oh, the outcast on the tip of whose tongue is your name is the Guru. All those who chant your name are thus most respectable, having completed all austerities, all sacrifices, all bathing, and all study of the Vedas. It's to be understood that those who are chanting your name have they have performed they have completed all austerities, all sacrifices, bathed in all the holy places, and studied all of the Vedas in their previous lives to be able to be chanting your name. So even the outcast is to be worshipped as Guru. If he's chanting your holy name, sorry. Nahi Bhagavan agatitamidam tadarshanam drenam akila papakshaya yanama sakrich travanat pukashopi vimuchate samsarat. O Lord, nothing is impossible for you. Just from seeing you, all my sins have been destroyed. By hearing one of your names even once, even the outcast is delivered from the material world. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 6.16.44. It has been concluded by Uddhav and me that there is no other process of liberation from samskar except for bhakti. Sorry. I don't think these verses are broken up right. Tapatrayena bhitasya ghore santapyamanasya bhavadvanisa pashyami nanyach charanam tavangri dvandvatapatrad amrita bivarshat. Sorry, my bad, it was broken up. My dear Lord, for one who is being cruelly burned in the blazing fire of material miseries, having fallen into the network of material existence, I do not see any other possible shelter besides your 2 lotus feet, which are a shower of nectar extinguishing the fire of suffering. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 11.19.9. Samsara sindhum atidustaram atitishor Nanyat plavo bhagavata purushottamasya lilkatara nishevanamantarena pungso bhaved vivida dukkha davarditasya. For a person who is suffering in the fire of countless miseries and who desires to cross the insurmountable ocean of material existence, there is no suitable boat except cultivating the nectar of the narrations of the Supreme Lord's pastimes. Oh, that was in the previous chapter. No, that's in this chapter. That verse 12.4 was in the previous chapter. We're in chapter 5 now. We just read this verse, actually. And in the following verses, liberation is derided as the goal of life, and bhakti is established by me as the crown jewel of human goals. The English in this book is really strange sometimes. Having liberation as the goal is derided. Yeah, that's how it should say. And bhakti is established as being the crown jewel of all goals. Okay, so that's what these verses are going to state. Okay, this is prose, so let's just read this. Yasyam eva atmanam aviratam vivida vrajina sangsara paritapopatapyamanam anusavanam snapayantas tayaiva paraya nivritya hyapavargam atyantikam parama purushartam api swayam asaditam no eva driyante bhagavadi yat venaiva parisamapta sarvartha. The wise, suffering from various calamities of material life, continually bathe themselves in the lake of bhakti, and because of its intense bliss, strive for liberation, the highest goal, which comes of its own accord, so they do not strive for liberation, the highest goal, which comes of its own accord, because they have attained everything by being servants of the Lord. So why would they strive for liberation? They've already attained everything. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 5.6.17. Evam dharmar manushyanam udavatma nivedinam mai sanjayate bhakti konyorthosyavashishyate. By those processes of bhakti, those human beings who have actually surrendered themselves to me automatically develop love for me. What other purpose or goal could remain for my devotee? That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 11.19.24. Duravagatma tattva nigamaya tavatmatanosh charita mahanumritabdi parivarta parishramanaha. Na parilashanti kechir apavargam apishwarate charana sarojadhangsa kulasanga visrishta grina. Sorry, I butchered that verse. My Lord, some fortunate souls have gotten relief from the fatigue of material life by diving into the vast nectar ocean of your pastimes, which you enact when you manifest your personal forms to propagate the unfathomable science of the self. These rare souls, indifferent even to liberation, renounce the happiness of home and family because of their association with devotees who are like flocks of swans enjoying at the lotus of your feet. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 87.21. Ya nirvritis-tanubritam tava para parma dhyanarbhavajjanakatha shavanena vasyat sa brahmani swamahimanyapinatama bhut king tvantakasi lulitat patatam vimanat. The bliss available for your servant from meditating at his feet or from hearing about your pastimes from the devotees is not available in your form of greatness, Brahman. What then to speak of the happiness of those who fall from the pleasures of Swarga? That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 4.9.10. Narayana parasarve nakutascha bibhyati Swargapavarga narake Sarartha-darsinaha. Devotees solely engaged in the devotional service of Narayan never fear any condition of life. For them, the heavenly planets, liberation, and the hellish planets are all the same. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 6.17.28. The authority of the words of other sages is relative. but the authority of my words is absolute. Let those words be famous everywhere, even in Vaikuntha. Okay, so we read all that about the superiority of bhakti. But now, however, the Lord prefers some matters to be secret. Veda brahmatma vishayas, trikanda vishaya ime, parokshavada rishaya, paroksham mamacha priyam. The Vedas, divided into three divisions, ultimately reveal that the Vedas in three divisions ultimately reveal the living entity as pure spirit soul. The Vedic seers and mantras, however, express their meaning secretly, and I also am pleased by hiding those descriptions. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 11.21.35. Since I have revealed the greatest secret, I have become not so dear to the Lord. This is Shukadeva Goswami thinking now. Since I've revealed the greatest secret, I've become not so dear to the Lord. He wants these things to remain hidden. So what shall I do now? I have completed writing the Purana, the Bhagavat Purana. Let that be. Now I will try to hide the great secret of bhakti. Someone may impetuously show off a great secret jewel to all people, and then, considering the matter, hide it in a box and place it in his treasure vault. He then shows off another jewel, praising it as the ultimate jewel. Thus, now I will teach Gyan to King Parikshit, so that people will think, Shukadeva is teaching Parikshit Gyan. By the influence of the Lord's Maya, they will think that Gyan is ultimate, and Bhakti is only a means to attain Gyan. The Lord sometimes appears before the perfected devotees and tests them by offering them liberation. I will test the development of Bhakti, my disciple Parikshit, by teaching him Gyan. The wise should know that this test is for the purpose of announcing to the world the steadiness of Parikshit's Bhakti. The ignorant people will explain that the result of Bhakti, is and Gyan is only liberation. But one should understand that this is not my intention, because I have said that compared to liberation, Bhakti is much greater. Rajan patir guru alam bhavatam yadunam Daivam priya kulapati kvacho kinkara Astvenam anga bhagavan bhajatam mukundo Muktim dadati karhichit smavna bhakti yogam. O King Parikshit, Krishna was the protector, instructor, object of worship, giver of affection, and the leader of both clans. But he was sometimes your servant. The Lord gives liberation, but not bhav bhakti to those who worship him. At Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 5.6.18. One should not fear that Parikshit will attain impersonal liberation by the Gyan that I will teach. Shukadeva Goswami says, Sutta, my disciple, understood my intentions and will later express them. Savai Maha Bhagavata Parikshit Ena pavargakyam adabrakudhi Jnanena vayasaki shabditena Bheje kagendra dhvajaparamulam. Parikshit, the great devotee with pure intelligence, attains liberation in the form of the feet of the Lord, who possesses a flag marked with Garuda. So he attains the feet of the Lord through knowledge spoken by Shukadeva. That's in the first canto of Bhagavatam, chapter 18, verse 16. And I have also indicated, as quoted above, that Parikshit will attain prema bhakti. Realization of Brahman cannot be achieved by these teachings of Atma separate from body. The Lord has said that bhakti conquers Gyan. Oh my God, this commentary is so long. It's one. Oh no. Should I finish this? It'll be one more page. Actually, no, 2 more pages. I should refinish it tomorrow. Realization of Brahman cannot be achieved by these teachings of Atma separate from the body. The Lord has said that bhakti conquers Gyan. Dravam desha phalam kalo jnanam karma chakaraka shraddhavasta kritir nishta traigonya sarva evahi sarviguna maya bhava purusha vyakta dishtita drishtam shrutam anudyatam buddha va purushashava eta sangsritaya pungso guna karma nibandhana yenerjita somya guna jivena chittaja bhakti yogena manishto madbhavaya prapadyate. I'm just translation, and then I'll check to see if you guys want me to finish this or not. Therefore, material substance, place, result of activity, time, knowledge, work, the performer of work, faith, the state of consciousness, species of life, and destination after death. All of these are based on the three modes of material nature. O best of human beings, all states of material being are related to the interaction of the enjoying soul and material nature. Whether seen, heard of, perceived within the minds, they are without exception constituted of the O gentle Uddhav, all these items related to the gunas and karma are causes of samsara. The living entity conquers these gunas manifested from the mind by bhakti yoga. Dedicated only to me, he surrenders and attains a loving relation to me. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 12.25 verses 30 to 32. Okay, let me see the comments. Oh God, I have two conflicting things. Indira Mataji says tomorrow, and Satyaditi says finish please. It's now one and a half pages. We're so close to the end. I'm just going to quickly finish. Is that? I hope you don't mind. Okay. The devotee does not have any desire for liberation. The devotee does not have any desire for liberation, which is the goal of Gyan. The Lord himself says this. Jnane karmani yogecha vartayam dandadharane yavan arto nirnam tata tavangste tam chaturvida. Through analytic knowledge, through Gyan, ritualistic work, mystic yoga, mundane business, and political rule, people seek to advance in religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. But because you are my devotee, whatever men can accomplish in these multifarious ways, you will very easily find within me. At Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 11.29.33. Finally, I will produce a work including the teachings of Gyan, which will be like Mohini Avatar. Will be like Mohini Avatar with different faces for different people, so that the demons will be cheated from drinking the nectar of bhakti. In teaching about Gyan, I will utter words first with one meaning, and then indicate another meaning smeared with bhakti ras to please the devotees. And then by doing that, I will make all the elements of Gyan that are unfavorable for bhakti, favorable for bhakti by including them in bhakti. And this way, this is how Shukadev thought. This is what Shukadev was thinking. Okay, I think that's a good place to end. It's now 8:35. So, Atra means in concluding this work. Brahma was born from the Lord's pleasure. This means that Brahma was born from the Lord's sattva gun. However, Brahma is not born from sattva gun, but he's born from rajagun. Shiva arose from anger. Since the Lord is beyond the gunas, it is impossible that he can have anger or tamas as part of his swarup. Therefore, these statements are exaggerations. The Lord, who is beyond the gunas, is pleased with his devotee who serves him. He is angry at those who harm the devotees. The pleasure and anger of the Lord are Shuddha Sattva. Brahma is an example of one who attained good fortune from the Lord's pleasure. He is the cause of the sadhan and the sadhya, which is bhakti and prem. The devotees should strive for this. The cause of destruction of sadhan and sadhya is the Lord's anger. One should strive to avoid this. This is a concluded Purana. If Shukadev has already completed the Purana, why do we consider that the first canto and the remainder of the 12th canto are part of the Bhagavatam? Just as the preliminary and concluding portions of a sacrifice are also called the sacrifice, or the introduction to a drama and blessings at the end of a drama are part of the drama. So, The beginning and concluding parts of the Bhagavatam are considered part of the Bhagavatam. Consider the following statement. Gita Sugita Kartavya Kim Anyay Shashtavistarai Ya Swayam Parmanabhasya Mukha Parmam Vinisrita. One Gita. What is the necessity of any other scripture when the Gita emanates from the lotus mouth of the Supreme Lord? That's from the Gita Mahatma. Okay, this is the last paragraph. Though all 18 chapters of the Gita were not completely spoken by the Lord, they are said to be spoken by him in this statement. Similarly, though the last part of the 12th canto was not spoken by Shukadev, it is also said to be spoken by him. This is the conclusion. So although we finished the Bhagavatam, we didn't totally finish the Bhagavatam, because this is also considered the Bhagavatam. We finished Shukadev's speaking of the Bhagavatam, but this is also considered spoken by him. All right, sorry I went so far over time, but I think it's good that we finish this because tomorrow is Srivas Pandit's disappearance day, and so I want to read about Srivas Pandit, and I'd also like to read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, so now we'll have enough time to do both. All right, so Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Sachinandan, I'm going to just do a short Jaidwani. Sachinandan Gaur Hari Ki Jai. Okay. I'll go over this last part a little bit again tomorrow also. Jai Sachinandan Gaur Hari Ki Jai, Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai, Jai Srila Gurudev Ki Jai, Srila Param Gurudev Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Shri Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai, Swaparshad Shri Gaur Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopigan Ki Jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai, Shri Shukadev Goswami Ki Jai, Shri Parikshit Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Sutta Goswami Ki Jai, all the sages of Naimeshwaranya Ki Jai, Shri Krishna Daipan Vedavyas Ki Jai, Dev Goswami speaking Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Sattvatai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat Pranams, everybody. I'll see you all tomorrow to read about Srivas Pandit and read this chapter 5. Hare Krishna. And we'll also do a little recap of what we just read today, because as Sudevi Didi said, I read too quickly. Sorry about that. All right, Hari Bol, everybody.